Well, here now is Philip Holloway, who's been a licensed commercial pilot since 1986 and a flight instructor for nearly 30 years. He's also been a criminal attorney for 18 years, and he says this is a criminal investigation still. Good morning, and thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so if these images came out several days ago, what's the likelihood that we're going to find this thing before it sinks?
Well, you know, this is a movie we've seen before. If you remember, in the days immediately following the disappearance of this airplane, China released some satellite imagery that, of course, turned out to be nothing. Unless and until we find some actual debris floating somewhere or some wreckage that's washed up on some shore, we're going to have to assume that everything else is on the table, including the fact that there are the possibility that this airplane landed somewhere safely.
What do you make? I mean, you mentioned the criminal investigation, which is a good reminder here. After all, this is being treated as a criminal investigation. Given that name of this investigation, is that why we're waiting to see this information trickle out like we are? Like that photo was taken 3 days ago.
That's a very good question, and it's why I've said all along we should have had the National Transportation Safety Board in there and the FBI and American Assets taking over this investigation from day one, because until you can rule out the possibility that this airplane is not safely hidden somewhere on the ground to be used as a weapon later, America's national security interests are at stake, and we need to be treating it as such, and there's nobody better in the world than the National Transportation Safety Board to get to the bottom of things like this.
Are they involved now? Isn't the FBI involved now, Mr. Holloway? Aren't they involved with this investigation?
Yes, they are, and it's my understanding that they are dismantling the the flight simulator taken from the captain's home in the days following the disappearance. And I think they're going to be going through those hard drives, doing a detailed forensic analysis to see just exactly what kind of files he may have had on there, and if they were deleted, why? Because that's what we need to know. Who did this? Why was it done? And what can be done to prevent it in the future?
I mean, you're not only an aviation expert, but you're also a criminal attorney. What hard evidence is there now, hard evidence, of any criminal activity?
Well, there's not a lot, admittedly, but what we do know in terms of the sequence of events that took place on the flight path, you had the ACARs going down. 14 minutes later, the transponders now being manually turned off. Senator Chambliss just the other night on this network confirmed that. And we now know from reports overnight, I think, that the handoff between the initial air traffic controller and the Vietnamese air traffic controller was absolutely seamless and unremarkable. And so right after that handoff was supposed to have occurred, the transponders were turned off, the plane went dark, and it diverted. So that right there is circumstantial evidence that human involvement caused this aircraft to deviate off course, which tells me it was a hijacking. And the fact that nothing else remarkable in the air traffic control communications, that tells me that there was not anybody trying to take over this plane.
It's remarkable. Well, we appreciate you joining us this morning with your perspective on all of this. It's a good reminder that there is a criminal investigation still going on, Philip.
Yep.
Thank you so much.